the world on the verge of war, countries willing to kill millions of people with nuclear weapons, and dictators and world leaders just trying to kill everybody, here comes this man saying, yes, what about them aliens? I mean, surely that should be the main priority over all of this. This is scary and all. This is of utmost importance. Disclosure Day is directed by Steven Spielberg with a screenplay by David Koepp and a story by Steven Spielberg. The film stars Emily Blunt, Josh O'Connor, Colin Firth, Hewson, and Colman Domingo. A meteorologist and a cybersecurity expert find themselves at the center of a movement to expose the government's cover-up of extraterrestrial secrets. Though I have talked about my favorite film from this man, Steven Spielberg has and always will be my favorite director ever. There will be always a director out there that I love and appreciate most, but if we're talking like on the level of Spielberg, that's a very high bar because his movies are some of the most influential and just recognizable films ever made. The man helped kind of revitalize what Hollywood was going through along with his other friends to make what we see with modern Hollywood nowadays. It's been 4 years since his last project that he had released, The Fablements, which was one of my favorites of his work. It's a more personal film about filmmaking and the way in which filmmaking has an effect on the people around us, or at the very least has kind of changed our perspective on things, and it was one of my favorites of 2022. I was very excited for him to return to not just science fiction, but focusing back on aliens. If there is one thing Spielberg is known for, he loves aliens. He has done practically two, almost three movies, two in particular that are so influential and so important in filmmaking history that you kind of can't ignore them. They're just that impactful in the way in which he tries to make us have this sort of human connection with these extraterrestrial beings. And that's weird to even say that, but still, it's pretty impressive for him to even remotely make these significant projects be as impactful as they are. With a star-studded cast, a talented writer, and a fantastic composer, the ingredients are here to make something truly special and magical. Everything I just listed here, and then, like I said, with what I mentioned for a cast, a screenplay writer, and a composer that has a legacy, just like Mr. Spielberg himself, everything is here to make pretty much a perfect film. Overall, I can say I had a really good time with this movie, okay? I found myself pleasantly surprised, especially since this was my birthday weekend. I was legit hoping that I can at least just get something good, something at the very least enjoyable from the man himself, and I dig with this movie. Although it's not as perfect as I wanted it to be, and there are some things that I wish it could have improved upon, it's still a wondrous comeback for him to return to this genre. And before discussing my issues and my gripes with this film, here are my positives. The performances are solid. The cast, but particularly Blunt, brings their effort and talent, keeping this engaging. Everyone in this movie brings their A game. Everyone here delivers emotional and steady performances all throughout. The one that definitely steals the show, of course, is simply Emily Blunt's show. There's just something about the way she is trying to convey a woman who is going through something otherworldly. She's going through this tumultuous period of discovering things about her past and the ways it has affected her, especially most recently with an encounter she had, and the fact that she is now starting to develop these sort of emotions and range. She has no idea what's going on. And Blunt is able to convey it in a way where she genuinely feels confused, scared, and at times at awe of what she is amazed by. And just with having the other actors there to help her out, I think is good, but is definitely the reason why a lot of people are focusing on her performance specifically, because of the fact that she has to really convey a woman who is just so lost and really so confused by what is happening. And yet she delivers on a performance that I truly think gives her a lot of range and a lot of ways of conveying how she's supposed to feel in the moment. And I think she is talented. Josh O'Connor, I think, also works well in this movie. He definitely seems like he was doing everything he can to keep this movie as engaged as it is with his storyline. And when him and Emily Blunt get together, I think they work off each other really well. They have a good chemistry with one another. Colin Firth, he's enjoyable for what he is, although I definitely can say that, yes, is he playing a stereotypical villain? Yeah, but otherwise, I found him to be quite amusing at the very least. Hewson, I thought she was fine for what this movie has to offer her, and a way of her connection with Josh O'Connor and her backstory about faith and religion I thought was pretty interesting. And Colman Domingo is a nice add-on to this movie, although could I have added a little bit more to him? Yeah, but overall, I think everyone in this is really good, but really Blunt is the one that steals the show. The direction is masterful. Director Steven Spielberg brings his knowledge and expertise to full effect, bringing back that old school blockbuster feeling again. Say what you will about modern day Spielberg or the way in which he talks about things, you cannot deny the way this man operates an entire film is just like magic. Like, he could just snap his fingers and he could just make instant excitement. He, to this day, is still continuing to make films that he truly wants to make, that he believes in, and just hearing the interviews of him talking and how the process goes for him and his own thoughts, always so fascinating. There's just a reason why Spielberg is just somebody who just brings in a lot of attention, because he is truly somebody who really gets you hooked the moment he has you. And he just brings you along for the ride. And for me, that is definitely the highest of highs when it comes to a director like this, is able to kind of drag you along for an adventure and keep you on your toes on what comes next and how it all flows together, is all because Spielberg just knows how to do it. The music is whimsical. Legendary composer and frequent collaborator John Williams offers his mysterious and wondrous score that helps bring the tone and vibe. Like Spielberg, Williams is a legend in film composing. I don't care what anybody is going to tell me when it comes to who their favorite composer is. In my eyes, John Williams will always come number one. This man has made some of the most impactful and recognizable scores ever. And sure, you could say, well, for franchises, yes. But even just some of the stuff that is considered like one-offs, he's like magic. He's like a magician, just like Spielberg. He's just instantly like touching something, and he just knows how to make melodies and orchestral scores just come to life and feel it with so much excitement and engagement and curiosity. That's just something that you always have to give somebody like John Williams credit for, is that he just gets you to feel certain emotions the way he wants you to feel, that even though there are a lot of composers who are definitely worth the respect that they deserve, there's just something that John Williams just knows how to do. He taps into it in a way that you just can't describe other than just wonder. You just get that sense, and it feels amazing. The cinematography is atmospheric. Cinematographer Johannes Kaminski brings the unsettling and eeriness that comes with how the film is, giving off the signature look of Spielberg's movies in recent years. Now, it is not in a way similar to how Close Encounters of the Third Kind or even E.T. looks, but I will say it is probably like a modern day version of Close Encounters, where you have kind of the recent look of recent Spielberg movies that feels more grounded, but still in a spectacle way, and more of a nuanced way in how it glimmers into the idea of what captures the imagination and the excitement in how people would be in situations like this. And Johannes Kaminski, he just is able to really tap into how Spielberg just would want to handle a camera and how he handles sequences, especially action sequences. I think he does pretty well, especially one involving a car and a train. It's just cool to see Kaminski just really lean into what Spielberg wants him to do and it just feels effortless in the way he wants this movie to come off. The production is amazing, as usual with Amblin Entertainment projects. Quality when it comes to bringing these films to life is impeccable. All the hard work from the sets and props are all top notch. Cannot deny the impact that Amblin Entertainment is able to really tap into what Spielberg wants, and he just delivers on that. The way in which the film really showcases a more grounded, modern day but still old school way of how an alien encounter can be and how we would react to it, but also really just again the props and some of the sets I think work very well with this movie, especially with some of the ways in which they handle blending in certain aspects of this. It's just really top tier filmmaking from the production team all around. The visuals are stellar. Seeing the animals and aliens were actually quite impressive. Not mind blowing, but not bad as well. Now, I know so many people could say and kind of be iffy on the way in which visual effects are in this movie, but I gotta say, they're done pretty decently. They're not like the most amazing visual effects, but it's still creative in how they try to implement how aliens look like, but also even animals and how they are implemented into the story, and the way in which it gives you that Spielberg-esque feeling of the past, the echoes in which it really hones in on what Spielberg is known for, tackling these ideas and using visual effects to an effect where it can get you to be very curious on how certain things look and how they are perceived. It's just creative. It's very interesting to see how this guy just is able to really blend it all really well. The story is entertaining. Following these two individuals was thrilling and interesting, being exciting for a good portion of this film. Following, like I mentioned at the beginning of this video, a meteorologist and a cybersecurity expert, and their storylines and how they cross paths and how they are trying to avoid Wardex, this government section that is honing in on these two people because of their connections to extraterrestrial beings. It's very fascinating to watch it all kind of play out. And yeah, it may not be like the most original, but I mean, this is really Spielberg kind of going back to his roots in the way in which how classic alien movies were kind of perceived. And I just appreciate the nice gesture of knowing, like, hey, even if it's old, I still appreciate the fact that he was willing to gamble on that and just really harness back to what made him such a unique filmmaker in the beginning. While a good time, I couldn't help but felt a tad disappointed, just a tad, by these problems and these issues that I did see with the movie that I cannot deny. I will admit these did get me, and maybe some people may agree or disagree, but here are now my negatives. The ending is anticlimactic. While the journey was captivating, and don't get me wrong, it was, it leaves things without a huge impact. Overall, there's just no punch to it. I think that is the biggest problem I have, is while it builds up to this ultimate showcasing of the aliens and their reveal to the public in some way, it does get to a point where I just don't feel like it had that strong of an ending to where it makes a huge impact. Like, you remember Close Encounters of the Third Kind and E.T., and how those movies left a huge imprint on how aliens are seen in the public and how they can affect society in a way or make societies just lose their minds at times. In this movie, the way it's able to handle it, it just kind of feels like what you would expect. And I think for what this movie was going for and how it was going up a lot, it just kind of felt like it just stopped there. That was it. It didn't feel like a nice send down. It just felt like it just kind of stayed at the top and then never really kind of let down. And it gets to feel like you just wish it had a much bigger, stronger ending than what we had instead. The writing is all over. Writer David Koepp offers a script that feels incohesive with itself, trying hard to be serious and comedic at times. I think the problem I have seen recently with David Koepp is I think he has a hard time with either balancing the comedic aspects and trying to also be serious, because he had that same problem with Jurassic World Rebirth, where it just feels like he was at times doing exposition dumps and he was trying to explain a lot. Here, not a lot is explained, but when they do try to, it feels like they are having this dedicated section just to just info dump. And it does get this sense of he doesn't quite find the balance of handling both trying to give you information, but also doing it in a way where it's not too much. And then some of the comedic parts, funny here and there, but it does start to kind of feel like, well, for what this movie was going for, I do kind of feel like, was this 100% necessary in how the jokes really come off? Because it does kind of give you this sense of, you really want this to be serious in how it's portraying it, but yet they'll throw in some jokes here and there that, are funny, but I don't think ultimately really gives you this sense of a cohesive script. It just kind of feels like some ideas that they had and ways in which David Koepp was trying to put it all together. It just wasn't always as balanced as it should have been. The World War III subplot is pointless. Having this storyline slash backdrop of the world being on the verge of war doesn't have any impact on the whole story. If it wasn't in the film, it really would not change anything. I will agree with what a lot of people are saying, that, yeah, the whole World War III backdrop, why was it there? What was the point of this subplot being in here? I guess the whole point is how the ending is and how we're supposed to kind of ravel with that. But realistically, I feel like if you had taken this out of the movie, it literally would not change much, other than, I guess, just because there wouldn't be no sort of ticking clock for what the world is going to be through. But yet somehow this storyline just means something more than what us as human beings are already going through. So it does kind of make you question the idea of what the story was in a bit. But again, I still appreciate what the story was for being kind of old fashioned. But I do understand where people come from when it comes to this sort of storyline and the subplot and how it is being overshadowed by aliens. But yet, this is here why. Spielberg manages to bring something a bit original than most films of this scale right now, captivating with his direction, performances, score, cinematography, production, visuals, and story. Disclosure Day brings the wonder and awe back, even with its few bumps along the way. And like I said, they're there. It's nice to see the veteran director return to the genre that he was known for and he was so popular with. I'm at least happy to get a chance to see a Spielberg original movie on the big screen, because yeah, so far this summer it's going to be mostly based off of something. This is an idea that Spielberg had. Whether it's super similar to Close Encounters, but I still give him the benefit of the doubt in that he was able to make something of this scale, and he's able to kind of sprinkle in his magic and his ways of handling a movie to us even in 2026. I'm still in awe of this man, and I can't wait to see what the next project he does next, because I will follow that. I'm going to give Disclosure Day a 7 out of 10. It's enjoyable. It's fun. If you go in with the mindset of you're not going to get something that is like on the level of his higher movies, but if you just want a good, enjoyable Spielberg movie, you'll get that for sure with this film. You will get something here that I think a lot of people will be excited by and be happy knowing that Spielberg is still doing the stuff that he loves to make. And I gotta give him credit. He is still out there doing the stuff that he wants to do. And I am always inspired by this man. Cannot wait to see what film he tackles next. So I will be soon doing a review for Toy Story 5. So yes, look forward to that review and other reviews coming soon.